Good to see everyone. Thanks for coming to our event. I'm Ross Fox, the Chief Sales Officer at The Real Deal. Today I want to just discuss a little bit about new development marketing. I'm here with two legends, two masterminds behind marketing new development here in Miami. There must be at least 200 projects out there at the show, and all of them are going after the same clients, right? Maybe they're marketing rapidly in other areas, but for the most part, they're all going after a client to buy their units. And these two ladies here have been responsible for marketing projects for the past two decades. So before I really go into it, I just want to tell a really quick story about how The Real Deal started this event. 15 years ago, when I started at The Real Deal, I was cold calling developers to tell them to advertise with us. And all the developers literally said to call this lady Jessica Levy. And I'm like, who is Jessica Levy? Who is this person? And Jessica's sitting right there. So I called Jessica, and she said to me, I'll do something better. Instead of doing just, straight advertising, let's have an event. Let's have an event at a project that I'm marketing called the Viscane, downtown. And I said, okay, let's do that. We've never done an event in Miami, but let's do it. So 15 years ago, we had this event, and Veronica was managing director at ISG at the time. And Veronica was managing the sales for that project. And we had the event. And that's where we're standing at today. So to me, this is like a full circle. Full circle with these two legends. So thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Veronica. I'm going to dive right into it, Jackie. I want to talk to you guys about the Waldorf. Now, it's one thing to get people to spend $2,000 a night for a hotel, and it's the other thing to have it spend $10 million of combo. How you doing that?
So before we get started, I just want to take note that how good Ross looked in that headshot.
I like that.
I mean, that was really nice. No, but back to the Waldorf, and I can go into a long story about how we storytell the Waldorf and, convincing someone from $1,000 a night unit to spending $5 million. But I break it out into two points, right? So I think one, we're living in a branded world, right? We have a lot of buyers that believe in brands, and as marketers, building buildings that have branded residences really makes our job a lot easier, because you have a lot of brand loyalists that already have an expectation from the brand that they trust, which is delivering premium quality, exceptional services, and amenities. So that really makes our job a lot easier. It's a win-win for the developer. It's a win-win for the marketer. It's a win-win for the buyer. So that's number one, right? I think that's how we overcome, right, this $1,000 a night versus $5 million. Number two is the Waldorf really is a unique offering. When PMG decided to partner with Waldorf about 4 years ago, we were really taking a look at the different brand options, and Waldorf, I think what stood out to us was really that they stand in the test of time. They're a 93-year-old brand, right? So they've been through all cycles of life. And not only that, but they were the pioneers of white glove service.
Yeah.
So we found a differentiator in Waldorf, right? There's Four Seasons out there, there was St. Regis, and Waldorf at the time was really new to the market. And for us, that was something that I think really solidified our relationship with Hilton and Waldorf. And then second to that was really architecturally, Waldorf is going to signify for downtown Miami is really an architectural landmark. So all those components, I think, really gave a strong story in the $5 billion offering.
Thank you, Veronica. And Jess, you've been working with a PMG for what? Almost 2 decades? Dearly?
14 years.
14 years. So a developer comes to you, it says, I'm thinking about partnering with a brand like the Waldorf. How do you construct the marketing plan for it? What goes into that? And specifically, the one year in Miami, and now with Veronica at PMG coming out with Cherry Creek, Cherry Creek, and also in Scene Key, you're doing it now too? Where do you step into that? How do you...
So the great thing about working with PMG, for example, is because we've been working together for 14 years, we get brought in where they're talking to brands and they ask us our opinion on the brand. And we really get to dive in on what that looks like what the design of the building should look like, what the amenities should look like, to try to help create that storyline so that we can do our job in PR. So with Waldorf, we were involved way before Waldorf was ever chosen as the brands. We all sat in rooms and brainstormed ideas, and it really allows us to come up with a strategy.
In addition to marketing with the Real Deal.
Obviously,
The Real Deal, but literally, that's, well, they're not.
the Real Deal had the local exclusive with this project, and the design exclusive ones were design publication. So yeah, the Real Deal we're obviously reaching the broker community, and I think Jessica's being very humble about it. They were really essential in Waldorf's success. I think really what she said is, in the beginning of all our conceptualizing and the initial process of deciding what brand we're going to move forward with, it's nice to have our PR agency that we have a very strong relationship with be able to give us advice, and then also give an opinion and understand like what the market and how we can position the product. So, but honestly, PMG. I mean, having PMG as a developer, in addition to the design and the architecture, the Waldorf brands, I mean, everybody knows the credibility of PMG with the way it's produced, what they've done in New York, South Florida, and now across different markets across the country. So all of that, it was a perfect store, honestly.
Got it. All right, moving on from PMG. Let's travel down Brickell a little bit. How about 1428 Brickell with Wyatt? Yes, I know you work pretty closely with Wyatt. What did you do there? Like, and how do you go to a developer and say, I know there's other projects around the corner for you, but we're going to tell a different story here compared to them, and like, well, what are you doing different than that?
Yeah, and I think 1428 is a different project, and all the other developments really in the city. I mean, they're not granted, but they're putting all their money back with the quality of what they're providing. They really have done a great job at providing that quality, showing that quality through their sales job here at No Web House. But also digital. They're very large digital players, with the Real Deal being one. But social media digitally, they from day one have been ramped up very heavily on social media and digital assets, which I think have helped them tremendously. We have like got 100 renderings to work with when it comes to PR. I mean, we don't normally get that. I try to get 10 renderings from a developer, and sometimes I struggle. So 100 renderings to use continuously through Crest helps us get those stories out.
Yeah, makes sense. Veronica, how do you compete with 1428? Like, how does that? I know. Give me your.
There's some working people.
It might be, but
honestly,
And I think it's something I learned through my experience. I don't really look at it as a competition.
Yeah.
I think all projects really generate a lot of traffic and leads to the area. We're all selling the same thing, and it's Miami, and I think it's whatever product fits that buyer, right? And I think that's really how we look at it. So we always work really hard to create a unique offering for our specific buyer demographic. And 1428, I think, really has its own unique offering. So it's just really what fits that buyer profile. I don't look at it so much as like competition. I think to that point, I think everyone's success in this market equal quality. Everyone's success leads to everyone else's success. So if a project's successful and, it breaks around and it sees the light, like Waldorf is now going vertical. I know 1428 plans on breaking ground, in the next few months or so. Things like that. I mean, we applaud it because it helps everybody else in this market do their job well. Sorry it wasn't spicier.
Taking a step back, there's all these new projects coming online by Mercedes, Dolce & Gabbana, St. Regis, the list goes on and on. The brand, what do you guys think, like, zooming out of that? What do you think there's any limit? Like, where are we going with this? There's 10,000, but there are 10,000 units coming online soon. Like, where do brand marketers want to spend their money on advertising period? Well, where is this film?
The Real Deal.
I know that. Yeah, I know.
Got it. I think that every project is trying to find its unique factor. And depending on how much you bought your land for, where you're located in the city, it plays a lot of roles in that. You have people that are trying to build a little more attainable luxury. And then those that, for whatever reasons are going very high ends. There's different markets for that. Like our markets have opened up, over the last 5-6 years, we were a very heavy Latin American market. Now we're a U.S. market, we're a global market. I mean, everybody wants a piece of Miami, wants a card in Miami, wants to have a home in Miami. So whether it's second, third, first homes, people moving here, there's room for all of it. It's interesting to see where the brands are going. I know we joke about him, but we always say, is there going to be an alcohol brand? Is there going to, where are we going to stop? We just launched Prima, who's a Scotch
Tower and Dom Perignon residency.
We just launched Prima this past week, and that's the first yacht-branded residence. So it's just interesting to see where that's going to go.
Well, I think just to kind of piggyback what Jessica's saying and circling back to what I had noted is we live in a branded world, right? And no matter, you can't take away brand trust from people that already believe in something. So I don't see brands going away, right? But I do see in the market today is that one, we're getting very saturated with new pre-construction development, specifically with branded residences. So in my opinion, it's not that we need to move away from brands. I just think as either a realtor or a developer, you really need to figure out, you can't just rely on the brand, right? You really need to find a unique offering because the market is only going to get more competitive. And that's with pre-construction, new construction. There's a wave of new construction standing inventory that's coming. So I think my recommendation for people that are, looking at or selling brands in the future is that you really, really need to think about what makes me unique, right? In a sea of branded residences, right? But I don't think it takes away, you have the leverage of the brands.
So our sales team at the realty, we're under the assumption is when you're devising a marketing plan for a project, can you walk us through so that if there's $100 million sellout, right? What percent of that, what are the marketing dollars that go into?
This is a trick question, by the way. He's setting me up so that when I tell him I don't have budget money, he's going to say, well, you told me that day.
Something that goes low.
I wanted the crowd here to understand.
Well, it's not what it used to be, right? I mean, it used to be, I shouldn't say that. I think marketing's changed, right? So 15 years ago, video buy was print ads. Now it's not that. So, and the dollars have shifted for marketing votes. So I think it really depends on the project. But
It's going to be okay, so just general rule of thumb, not including art costs, right? And when we say art costs, we're talking about like sales galleries, about those fun things. But just general, like operations, advertising, the rule of thumb is between 1.5 to 2% when your overall sell-up.
Okay, so I now know what budgets are.
Plus or minus, depending on where, where are you located, what's the size of the project, it's the financial component to it. So that's just a general rule of thumb, but it could be plus or minus.
One more question about the sales.
tell Ryan I said that.
Is the buyer pool changed for clients that you're going after, like the different kinds of buyers specifically at your projects? Where are they coming from? Has it changed over the past few years, especially at post-pandemic? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's become more global. We've always been global in some aspect, but now it's more than ever. And as I was saying earlier, everybody wants a piece of Miami. So whether you have an extra $500,000 to buy or you have $25 million, you're trying to find what that piece can be and that dream. Miami's just very culturally diverse. Everybody's always loved to hear the weather. Obviously, the summer's been a little hot lately, but you can't complain too much. And everybody wants a piece of it. So I think we're going to continue to see more and more people from Europe, the Middle East, and different markets, such like that.
And I think post-COVID, we saw like an interesting dynamic for Miami because it was primarily a Latin American-driven market. And then we saw like a big domestic shift. We were seeing a lot of buyers from New York, California, the Midwest. And we're seeing that slow down a bit now is what we're seeing. And Latin America's definitely picked up a lot more now in the market. But I think to Jessica's point is like, Miami's not like the next global city. We are, right? So I think now what she said is everybody wants a piece of it. And that's true. So I think our demographic has definitely expanded.
Got it. Last question for the crowd here. What's one piece of advice you would give marketers that are marketing condo developments?
think it goes back to what I said is obviously there's the basics, right? Like now today, digital is key. I'm a strong believer in back to basics, right? So like having like the right collateral material, sometimes you have to hit the pavement and you just got to go back to some of the old school things, but the digital landscape is here to stay. It's super critical. But again, nothing matters unless you have that unique offering, right?
Nothing matters if you don't hit the town double free.
Like the unique offering, like, right? Because you're competing, right? You're advertising, you're promoting what sets you apart.
All right. Jessica.
I think I'd love to agree with that, at least if P2 as well. So digital, everything goes on digital, and if it goes in print, it's great. But if it's digital, that's what everyone cares about. And that's changed quite a bit in the last 10 years. But I also think, at least what we do and how we look at projects, we look for that unique factor, that one thing that's going to set this project apart, that we're going to be able to go to the national media, the international media, and really talk about it. So I think developers who really take the time to look into whether it's a brand or just something in the holding that's different, it helps us go a long way.
Got it. All right, well, that pretty much wraps it up. Before we're done, I just want to thank our paid content team, Jackie and Isaac and Allie. If anyone here, Alex, if anyone here is interested in talking to The Real Deal about marketing with us, I'm your guy. Or you can speak to our team back there. But thank you all very much for listening to our talk.
Thank you,